Good evening, everybody. I'd like to welcome you to the Safe Routes to School meeting tonight. We have the privilege of having a group with us that has been doing some data and gathering some data for us to find out the safest ways for kids to come to school. We're looking at other ways to help our community kids get to Salt River Elementary, as well as ECEC, as well as ALA. That might be looking at scooters, skateboards, as well as bikes, or just walking to school and making some safe routes for them to do that. We want to be able to create a community school within the community and offer these opportunities. So we have a wonderful group with us tonight that is going to be sharing with you this information, as well as getting input from you. So we really need your input, and they will come back to us with that input so we can make some decisions moving forward. So once again, I want to welcome you to join us, and please stay live with us as well as in person. And I'm going to pass it over to Chris. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that introduction. Great overview of our process. So my name is Chris Gottsacker. I'm the project manager for this study from MAG, that's Maricopa Association of Governments. We're the regional planning organization for essentially the greater Phoenix region. Safe Routes to School studies are a federally mandated program. ADOT actually started their program before it was even federally mandated. In the late 90s, they began their Safe Routes to School program. In 2005, I think, was the first legislature at the federal level that mandated funds to be used for Safe Routes to School studies and program administration in general. In the late 2010s, MAG took over administering the projects for our region. ADOT agreed to do this because we have our ears closer to the ground here, so to speak. And we're able to more easily facilitate the administration of these projects in a more streamlined manner. And we also are somewhat unique in that we use engineering expertise. We bring in engineering consultants to conduct these studies so that we are able to come at this program from a variety of different ways. So we have the harder engineering solutions, harder as in concrete infrastructure, design, and then we also have programmatic softer elements. So are there programs at the schools that can be implemented to encourage more active transportation to the schools for students and parents? With that, I think I'll pass it off to Donna here from Stanley Consultants to provide an overview and continue seeking your input. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chris. My name is Donna Lewandowski, and I work for Stanley Consultants. We've been invited here to help facilitate this study for you. First thing I'd like to say is thank you. Thank you for inviting us into your community, and thank you for inviting us onto your land. It's a privilege to be here, and I want you to know that I appreciate that. So what is Safe Routes to School? In a nutshell, it's a movement that aims to make it safer and easier for students to walk and bike to school. Simple enough. There are quite a bit of benefits that come along with Safe Routes to School programs. So we've got safer students. We end up with lower transportation costs for both the student families as well as the district if they can consolidate buses and things like that. It makes it a little bit less expensive. We've got reduced student absences and tardies. Studies are showing that students who walk to school do better on tests that they have to do that day. We reduce traffic congestion around the school. We end up with healthier students and improved academic performance and cleaner air and fewer asthma attacks. So how do they do it? We call it the 6 E's. They're engagement, equity, engineering, encouragement, education, and evaluation. The first one there, engagement, that's what we're doing right now. Any good Safe Routes to School initiative starts by listening to students, to families, to teachers, to school leaders, working with existing community organizations, and building intentional ongoing engagement opportunities into the program as we move forward. We look at equity. We're ensuring that the Safe Routes to School initiatives provide safe, healthy, and fair outcomes for students and parents in all demographic groups. We look at engineering, which are the physical improvements to the neighborhood, to your streets, that make walking and bicycling safer, more comfortable, and more convenient for everybody. Encouragement just emphasizes the fun of walking and biking. We're generating enthusiasm for students walking to school through events, activities, and programs. I think I heard that just before the pandemic, you had a walk to school day event that was enthusiastically received by the students. Those are the kind of events that we look at for encouragement. When we're talking about education, we are just providing students in the community with the skills to walk and bike safely. We're educating about the benefits of walking and biking and teaching about the broad range of transportation options that are out there. Evaluation is always an important part of any program. We want to know what we're doing that's working, what we're doing that isn't working, so we can make changes as we go along to make sure that the program is as effective as we can make it. And there's a 7th E, so 7 out of 6 E's. They actually removed enforcement in 2020 to allow greater freedom for schools who maybe were having more difficult situations with the law enforcement in their communities. That's not the situation here. We've had 2 police officers, a sergeant and a police officer, who have been involved with this from the beginning. So congratulations, you have 7 out of 6 E's. And I do want to point out that it's not just police officers in this program that are providing enforcement. The crossing guards are out there enforcing and guiding the students in safe behaviors. Our teachers are also enforcing the kinds of safety behaviors that we want to see at the school. So when we think of enforcement, we're not always thinking of police officers writing tickets. So here are the steps that we take to create a Safe Routes to School program. The first thing that's important is we bring together the right people, then we gather information and identify the issues, and we try to find solutions that work to solve those issues in ways that work for the community. Then we make a plan, we get that plan funded, we act on the plan, and we evaluate and make the changes as necessary. So where are we in the process? Done. You guys have done this. All the right people are in the room and working with us, and that's great. This is what we're doing right now. We're gathering information tonight and through the parent surveys, which we'll talk about a little bit later. And then we're going to try and find some solutions that work in your community. We'll make a plan, and we turn that plan over to you all in August of 2022. And then it will be up to getting the plan funded, figuring out what portions of the plan to implement first, and making that happen. That's going to be up to the schools and the communities. And I just want to say a little bit about the time frame that that takes. Just because we get the plan in and we even identify some funding doesn't mean that things happen overnight. And when I say not overnight, I mean 4 years in some cases for infrastructure improvements. If we were to go out later this week and secure funding from a group called the HSIP funding, which is the Highway Safety Improvement Plan, those projects that were approved this year wouldn't get built until 2026. So this is a long process and it takes a little bit of patience. So I am going to turn this over to Jennifer, and she's going to tell you what improvements are coming up for your community.
Hello, I'm Jennifer Jack, and I'm the roads manager for the community. And we do have a few projects that are upcoming. So the first one is a trail, which will be made of decomposed granite. So it'll be a natural surface. And it'll be along the Evergreen Canal on the back side of the Canal side and Mesquite Trail subdivision. So going from Center Street over to Mesa Drive. And we should be constructing that later this year. There is a project to build a block wall on the back side of the subdivision, and we want to wait until they're finished with that construction, and then we'll come in and build a trail. The next project that we have is a grant-funded pedestrian project to build a sidewalk on Mesa Drive that connects the Canal Bank Road to the sidewalk on Indian School Road. I think that says Country Club, but it's Indian School Road. So it'll lead on Mesa Drive down towards the Waylife facility and connect with that existing sidewalk. And then the other part of that is on Camelback Road. It'll be on the north side of the road between Mesa Drive and Center Street, and there's an existing sidewalk on Center Street. So we'll be able to connect that area, and everyone that lives in Mesquite Trails and Canal Side subdivision will have a good path towards the school. So we're excited about that project. It is just starting design, so we anticipate construction will probably be in another year or so. The last one that I wanted to mention is a street lighting project right here on Highland Avenue. In prior public meetings that we've had and safety events, we've heard that the lack of street lighting on Highland has been a major concern for students that maybe have games on the fields or get out late after school, and especially in the winter, they have to walk home in the dark. So we have heard that and acquired funding, and that project is complete. We have our permit, and we're going to be going to construction very soon. We're right now trying to work on getting the contractor on board. So we're excited to have those projects upcoming. Thank you.
Thank you. So when I said you had the right people in the room, you really have the right people in the room. This is your Safe Routes to School team from your community that's working on this project, and just wanted to let you know the names of those people who'll be working. I also want to invite you at this time to put your comments, if you're watching in Facebook Live, to put your comments in the chat feature, the comment feature there. We will not be able to see them, unfortunately, while we're doing this, so we won't be able to address them, but we will make sure that we gather them. And those comments and information is very important as we put that report together, so that we make sure that we are tuning it to your community's needs and wants. So we were out here last week on Thursday. You might have seen some ominous looking groups of people walking around in bright safety vests. And we were just observing so that we could get a feel for what was going on, what the safety issues were, what's working well, and what might need some improvement. So I just wanted to share with you a few of the observations. We call it the good, the bad, and the ugly. One of the good things, you have the most creative and resourceful atmosphere in the school that I've worked in. The artwork, the children's artwork that's around here, I loved this little guy in the front office. But there's no place to park your scooter. We saw these sitting out front of the school unattended. And then the ugly might be that if you did ride those scooters, there are some things that might make you fall. So those are pretty easy fixes, but we did notice them. Another good. The good is you've got some great shared use pathways right here near the school where they need to be. The bad is sometimes they just end. You know, if you were riding a scooter, this might be a little bit challenging for you. And there are places that they don't exist at all. So that might be something that we'll be looking at as we move forward, where they make sense and are important for the student's safety. And then we did notice that another thing I fell in love with at your school is that you have a little free library right at the bus stop. So as the children are coming and going to school, they see a library right there and have books available. The bad is that you've got some queuing on that street for pickup where cars cannot get into the parking lots, and so they queue up in the street, and since it's a two-lane street, nobody can get by. So that's something else that we'll be looking at. A couple of other observations. We saw about a dozen kids walking to school. That was great. You've got some older faded signs and striping out on the street, so we'll probably be recommending that those get refreshed where they are important to the school, and just a few maintenance issues like you had seen. But all in all, it was a pretty safe and orderly process getting the kids to school. So here's where you come in, and we really do need your help and your input for this. We have surveys here in the audience, and these will also be sent out via whatever your school uses to communicate with parents. And we're asking you to please go online and complete one of these for each of your children that attends a Safe Route or a Salt River school here, either the ECEC or the elementary school. That information is crucial to us. And there's a chance in there to put in free form, and you can always send those comments that you have for us later for us to compile. They will go into the report, not only in how we make decisions and come up with ideas for your community to consider, but also verbatim so that you can see what community members are saying. So they will not, however, be connected with your names. That information is going to come up to us from the school, completely stripped of any identifying information, so no fears or worries that you're going to be rooted out as somebody who said something. So we do have a few people who came in. I appreciate seeing you. Were there any questions here from the audience that's live that I can answer? Okay. We do have one question, and I hope that you answer it on Facebook Live as well, and just to kind of tickle your thinking about this. If only one cool thing came out of this project, what would you personally hope it would be? What would you like to see?
More crossing guards.
More crossing guards. That's great input, thank you. So I do see we have, I think there was only one crossing guard. Is there a specific crosswalk you'd like to see that crossing guard at?
Yeah, just on the same area, but on the other opposite side too also.
Over by the ECEC?
Yeah, because it, just right where, on this side where the faded strip is at,
Uh-huh.
just right there on the other corner, because that's where the sidewalk ends too, where it's abruptly ends.
Yep.
Just on the corners. Because our son likes to walk back from school, so I don't know, it just helps with the cross guards are either busy or there's not enough, and they're not there, so.
Yeah.
It's basically you have to deal with see some of the traffic there, just going too fast through there also.
So you've got some speeding issues too
Yeah.
around the school? Sure. Okay. Thank you for that. And I hope you people on Facebook Live are adding to those chat queues. Anything else? All right. Well, thank you for your time. I really appreciate everybody tuning in. I know that your evenings are precious, and we really appreciate the staff, especially that's come out and spent more of their time here at the school. So. We have some raffle tickets.